This video is sponsored by Squarespace. I want to have a little talk about Pierre Gasly, a man in his prime, the Frenchman 29 years of age, yet seemingly stagnating in a team towards the back. Sure, he's been beaten Colapinto, but it's hard to really showcase your abilities when you're down towards the back. And now there's talk about a two-time world champion in Fernando Alonso potentially wanting to return to the team. He's been spotted chatting with Flavio. Him and Flav are super close. Look, there's no smoke without fire, and genuinely, I feel a bit concerned for the future of Pierre Gasly in Formula 1. My name's Tommo. Let's talk about it. You know, this started with me thinking about Fernando and the rumours and the speculation at the weekend saying Fernando had been to the Alpine motorhome 4 times. And I was like, okay, it's kind of interesting to maybe talk about Fernando's career. Does he take that jump? And then I was like, hang on a second, actually, it could be Pierre who, if Fernando is to make that move, ends up being the kind of fall guy and the one who misses out. The reason that Fernando is going into the Alpine motorhome 4 times, we don't know. Again, it's super close to Flavio. Flavio definitely at least used to be his manager. I'm not sure if he's still his manager at this point. I don't think he is, because that would be a really weird conflict of interest, right? Although I guess you got Fernando who's managing Bortoleto. Does Flavio then inadvertently manage Bortoleto via Fernando? I don't really know how that works. Fernando doesn't have time to hang about, mess about. He needs a team that can deliver him a car in 26. Push 27. Otherwise, he might as well just retire. He's been very open with this. He's spoken about, he needs a project where he can feel motivated, and he knows the clock's ticking, right? And Fernando's still operating at an incredibly high level. It's mad that he is still at the level that he is. That is a testament to him as one of the greatest of all time, without any shadow or doubt. Then I think, okay, cool. So that's happening. Alpine are in shenanigans again, right? It just keeps going with Alpine. Of course it does. So obviously Ollie Oakes departed. Flavio came in before Ollie Oakes was then brought in. And then Luca Di Maio, who, and this is probably the biggest bit of Alpine Renault craziness for a long time. He's like the CEO, was the big dog at Renault. Not just the F1 team, but the actual car brand, the automotive brand. And by all accounts, did a pretty good job. Well, he's gone to work for the company who own Gucci and Alexander McQueen and that. Flav came from fashion. Benetton, didn't he? He brought them into Formula 1. So they've kind of gone vice versa, I guess. But yeah, so Di Maio's gone. Ollie Oakes is gone. So the only person now left there is Flav. It's crazy. That was out on left field when Flavio came in as executive advisor, right? Imagine 2 years ago being like, in 2 years, the only senior person is going to be Flavio Briatore. You're going to have no team principal and no group CEO of Renault. Who knows what the opportunity is for Flavio? Does he want the team principal job? Who knows, right? You can only speculate on that. Apparently, he's getting paid a pretty big bag to be there. It's certainly worth his time. Squarespace is the perfect all-in-one platform to build your very own beautiful online home. You want to start a website for whatever reason, a blog, a portfolio, maybe you're running particularly kind of a small to medium-sized business. I sell my merch on TOMMO'SRacingGoods.com, which of course is powered by Squarespace. Nice and easy to get your products up live, send out email campaigns, 24/7 customer support. Honestly, as everything you need to get started. I've been using them for years. I started my Squarespace website, my first portfolio, back in 2018, which predates me doing F1 content on this channel. And best thing of all, it's completely free to try, so nothing to lose. Give it a go. If you don't like it, you don't have to pay. But if you do like it, which I think you will, when you want to publish your website live to the world, head to squarespace.com/TommoF1 to get 10% off of your very first website or domain. If he is to take the reins and lead this team, you got to say, look, Fernando and Flavio, ex-manager, current manager, whatever that relationship is, it was Flavio who was running a team in 2005 and 6 when Fernando won those 2 world titles. With a Mercedes PU in the car for 26 onwards, I could see Flav trying to sell Fernando a dream, because Fernando, obviously commercial gold, because he's one of the most famous high-profile Formula 1 drivers of all time. You bring him in for his last hurrah, last swan song. A team that can build a good chassis, right? They've proved that for years, with a power disadvantage with their own engine, right? They don't have the power of the rest yet. Haven't looked miles off the back. There's been moments where they've got close to podiums on merit. I mean, Brazil last year, yeah, that was a bit crazy weather-wise, but they're not a Haas in 2019, whenever it was, when they were absolute trash miles off the bat. They're not a Williams 2019, when they were also trash and miles off the bat. Considering it's an OEM, they've been very disappointing. But given that, I think the team at Enstone actually is probably a very good team. I think David Sanchez is a huge hire, huge person to bring in. Went from Ferrari to McLaren, didn't work at McLaren, and quickly moved over to Alpine. I think Sanchez leading that technical team, a Mercedes power unit in the back. Look, if I had to put money on it, Mercedes power unit for 26, Honda power unit for 26. I'm going Mercedes. I know they delivered success to Red Bull, but that's not the same Honda, right? Because obviously Honda pulled the plug. Red Bull were like, all right, we're going to build our own engines then. Ford came in. Red Bull took on a lot of the Honda power unit people to be part of Red Bull Powertrains, this new facility within Milton Keynes. So it isn't the same Honda. No, like for like. Honda are kind of starting from scratch. Of course, all the teams are, right? But with Mercedes' prior knowledge with their high-performance powertrains division, and McLaren have proved that as a customer, you can outperform your supplier, even Mercedes, right? And Mercedes won't want that to happen, of course. But you look at McLaren, you look at Mercedes, you look at Williams, and you look at Alpine, those 4 teams that are going to be running Mercedes PUs next year, and you've got to probably put them as the 4 favourites, because if this is going to be an engine formula like many people are expecting it's going to be, I mean, they're going to just take off into the distance at the start. Hopefully the FIA will do what they need to do, if that happens, to allow the other teams to bring their power units up to a standard and almost balance that performance somewhat. If you're looking at these 2 projects, and what Fernando needs is performance now. He needs it in 26, ideally, 27 at a push. You've got Newey, you've got Aston Martin facility, growth, stagnating this year, correlation. Newey spoke quite critically about the correlation between the simulator and real life. Then you've got Alpine, Mercedes PU, chaotic nature in terms of senior management, but Flavio seemingly leading it now. As much as Aston Martin is a bigger project long term, for immediate deliverance of performance, deliverance, is that even a word? I would understand why he'd go back, which sounds crazy because he didn't leave that long ago, and then he was there, and then he came back, and he came back, and then he'd be going back. Like, it has been such a yo-yo. But it would almost be quite poetic for Fernando to finish his career at Enstone. I mean, the story, if he won his 3rd world title there, geez, I know that's a stretch. I know that's a big stretch. But who's going to actually give him the best opportunity for a title in 26, 27? It's probably going to be neither of them. Realistically, it's probably going to be a Mercedes or a McLaren. Maybe a Red Bull if they nail the power unit. Maybe Audi, right? Who knows? Fernando's got to make a decision. And it's a decision about what's right in the moment. If Fernando was 10 years younger, fine, stick at Aston, absolutely. But he hasn't got that time. Now, of course, Fernando has signed himself a pretty long-term deal. Aston Martin, again, we're not on top of the details of exactly how long. He's called it a lifelong deal. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Fernando. Like, he's made some pretty ankle-breaking career decisions in the past, and I wouldn't put him past it doing it again. I wouldn't blame him, because again, like, he's got to go for the opportunity that maximizes his chance of winning a world title. If he knew he wasn't going to win another world title, I don't think he'd bother hanging around in the sport anymore, right? And if Alpine are going to drop a driver, you've got Pierre Gasly, who's seasoned, 29, prime of his career, very, very, very talented. You've got Franco, who's much younger, much more commercially viable than Pierre. Pierre is a big brand in himself, but the Colapinto effect is crazy. And we saw Doohan lose his seat for not doing that bad a job. We know that Flav spearheaded that Colapinto to Alpine decision. Colapinto's not doing a bad job relative to Pierre, like, he's not there, but of course he's not. And I think there's a chance he can get to a similar level as Pierre Gasly. I don't see why not. The impression he made when he jumped into that Williams, and especially those early races last year, was super impressive, right, for a rookie. Way better than Sargent had ever done. And so I think Pierre's the fall guy. I could absolutely picture that in 26, probably not even called Alpine, Flavio running it with Fernando and Franco as your drivers. Like, I could absolutely picture that in my head. I could definitely see that happening. And because Pierre's contract isn't firm, solid, as we know, for 26, it's he had the extension in 2024, and it said, right, year for 25 and beyond, right, and beyond, whatever that means. If he's got a 2-year deal, you would just say 25 and 26, but they didn't say that. So that tells me there's probably an option on either Pierre or Alpine's side to not extend him to 26 if Flav does sell the dream to Fernando. The team at Enstone love Fernando. I'm sure they're taken back with open arms. But where does that leave Pierre? That is the pertinent question. It leaves him out of luck. Now, what makes this doubly difficult for Pierre Gasly is that he is at a team that is towards the back. Even an amazing performance might get you P13. It's really hard to showcase your talent when you're in a poor car and you have unproven teammates. And we saw exactly this with Alex Albon, didn't we? Right? Alex Albon, all of his time at Williams prior to this year, has had either Latifi or Sargent as teammates. Unproven. And we know Latifi's not great. I think Sargent had the potential to be great, but just never fully hooked it up. And it was a kind of missed opportunity for Logan. When Alex was putting in these, great drives in Canada and Australia with the tyres and all that, cool, it was great, but also it was like, well, maybe that Williams is a really good car and, he's just battering his teammates because they're unproven. How good is he really? He was, destroyed by Max at Red Bull and he's come back in and Williams gave him a hand. I understand why there was a lot of people fully believing that Sainz would wipe the floor with him. I get it, right? Because Sainz was, holding his own in a Ferrari, winning Grand Prix, out-qualifying Charles Leclerc a lot of the time. And then Albon was fighting with Sargent and Latifi at the back. I get it. But it didn't happen, right? I believed in Alex, partly probably because of my bias, but it wasn't delusion, clearly, because he's outperformed Sainz so far as teammates. I'm not surprised because Sainz has to get up to speed with the Mercedes engine, blah, blah, blah. And Sainz will improve. He will get better. And I do still think that if I'm picking my dream team, I'll pick Albon, obviously. But if I'm taking the names away from it and just who's the more complete driver, I would still say Carlos Sainz. I would. And the circumstance is working for Alex at the moment. But Alex hasn't won Grand Prix. He hasn't put it on pole position. Sainz, I think, has demonstrated he could definitely be a title contender in the right context. I've not seen that from Albon to say that with absolute certainty yet. But my point is, I think Pierre, I actually think Pierre could do a job in the title. I mean, geez, look at him in 21 when he qualified in the top 6 about 1,000 times. When he was in that absolute cooking AlphaTauri, he was unbelievable. That was a streets won't forget kind of season. To see his talent just kind of stagnate and it kind of getting forgotten about, and it's been so anonymous this season, and what else can he do, right? He's in the car that he's in. The Alpine dream with Pierre and Esteban was admirable, and that never kind of worked out. Esteban got out and is now in a Haas and is doing a good job, scoring points, a lot more points than Pierre this season. It's a real shame because I feel like Pierre's carrying very little momentum to put himself in the hearts and minds of other teams if he gets dropped by Alpine, which, look, there is a chain of events which results in Alpine dropping Pierre and Pierre not having a seat for 26. There is. I am genuinely concerned for this because I know what Flavio's like. I could see Fernando just being like, boom, sorry Aston, we're done. Bosch, you can take your Valkyrie back. Give me a Renault R, whatever it's called, the R5, the electric one. And look, there's no safe bets either, is there, right? If Pierre was to go to another team, try and get a seat at a different team for 26. And so you've got Cadillac joining, who knows where they're going to be with their Ferrari engine and super unproven Graham Loudon leading that brand new team. That's just, who knows where that's going to be. I mean, I'm not seeing many kind of options for Pierre. I mean, definite no's. He's definitely not going Red Bull. Definitely not going back to VCarb. Definitely not going to Mercedes. That's obviously George, Kimi, or Max maybe, which is still a long shot if you ask me. Ferrari, no, because that's Leclerc, Hamilton, then probably Behrman if Lewis jacks it in and decides not to carry on, which I think he absolutely will carry on for at least 26. Williams, I don't see a way in for Pierre because I think Sainz is going to see where they are in 26. There's a good chance Williams are going to be very good in 26, 27, and Albon's sitting pretty, so that's not going to change. Sauber, I think they've got, Hulkenberg is there for the Audi deal. Bortoletto, I think, has been very good, actually. I've been really impressed with Gabriel. We've not seen the results and the points for him, but performance-wise, I think he's held his own very well. It's like long shots here. It's just long shots. I mean, all right, say Fernando goes to Alpine. Could Pierre then go the other way and go to Aston Martin? I mean, I think Honda would want Yuki, and performance has not been great for Yuki in the Red Bull, so who knows what his future is going to be like going forward with Lindblad and all that. I would like to see Yuki get the 26th season alongside Max with a new car and see if he can, you know, do something, start in a regulation cycle alongside Max Verstappen. I think we could see a better version of Yuki Tsunoda, but if that Honda pull is enough, then I probably see Yuki more likely to go to Aston. However, maybe Pierre alongside Stroll at Aston. The thing is, Pierre's not that massive name. Lawrence Stroll likes a big name. That's why he replaced Checo, even though Checo was doing amazing, and bought a lot of money as well with him, but still replaced him with Seb, and then replaced Seb with Fernando. You know, you got two of the biggest names, 6 world titles between them. That's the Lawrence Stroll way. I didn't see him picking up a Pierre Gasly to lead Aston Martin. I just, it's a long shot. It's possible. I don't see it. I think McLaren's an interesting one, because let's say that Lando or Oscar, realistically, it feels right now, momentum-wise, it's more likely to get Lando. If Oscar batters Lando for the rest of the year, is there a way that maybe Red Bull lure? I know Christian said he'd rather have Piastri. Someone lures, you know, Lando away if Lando really gets demolished. I don't see Lando leave. Even if he did get demolished, I think he would see 26 as an opportunity to reset and have a go again, and think he can beat Oscar in 26. I think Lando's got the talent, but again, this is a long shot. If Lando was to leave and McLaren wanted a nice number 2, I'm sure they've been linked with Pierre in the past. I'm pretty sure they have. To what extent that actually almost happened, I can't tell you. But I've definitely heard that one rumoured before. And then I guess Haas as well, which, I mean, look, if they want to be really chaotic, they could, you know, Behrman goes to Ferrari to replace Lewis, and then Pierre and Esteban are reunited in Haas. Obviously, that's not going to happen. It's a long shot. It's an opportunity, as is Cadillac. I think, would Pierre stay? He'd probably choose to stay at Alpine over Cadillac, but then if Fernando takes his seat, then Pierre might not be left with another option. And also, I really think Cadillac Checo just makes so much sense. He commercially helps this team, this new team on the grid, who've just paid all this money for the anti-dilution fee to get into the sport. He brings a bag. It's a North American team with a North American driver in it. I know Checo's not American, but he's still from North American. Helmet, all right? Geography for you. And then maybe Bottas as well. I mean, Bottas is a seasoned driver. He says, you know, he was driving at his best at times in that Sauber last year, and just wasn't in a car to showcase it to the world, and we wouldn't see it, right? And you can't say Valtteri's lying, because maybe he was driving at his best in that Sauber last year, but it was such a bad car that him and Joe couldn't showcase the performance of the world, which is exactly the kind of problem that Pierre's got right now. So yeah, look, I don't know. Maybe I'll try and put a poll in the top comment. Like, do you agree that Pierre's seat could be in danger? Because I'm feeling something, right? I called Sainz to Ferrari before it happened, and I'm feeling a similar. Ooh, hang on. I'm a bit concerned for Pierre here. Again, that Briatore, Alonso, Colapinto dream team with some crazy sponsor on it, probably OnlyFans or something. it feels real to me. So am I onto something, or am I just chatting absolute breeze? Well, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. My name's Tommo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.